The goal here is to find books that are truly undervalued, below the market value. So what we're not trying to do, Avery, is we're not trying to like exploit the prime gap. What we're trying to do is actually see a book like this that is generally at its cheapest price, and then try to find those books when they just so happen to become undervalued.
What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to go over how to make $100,000 profit on Amazon flipping used books from your house. I brought Joji, who's a high school teacher who achieved just that, doing $100,000 in profit last year. And he's going to actually show you the easiest way. So there's a lot of ways you can flip books via online arbitrage, but this method is the easiest because it's the highest % chance of actually finding good books. We're going to be using a third-party software called Bookmine. And this software really allows you to get the best books. And Joji's going to break down what books are good to buy and kind of why this opportunity exists. And we're going to show you step by step how you can flip books from home without ever leaving your house and, you know, do 100,000 in profit like Joji does each year. So welcome to the channel, brother.
Thanks so much for having me on, Avery. I'm really excited to get into this. Yeah, we're going to be using Bookmine to find books that are undervalued. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. All right, so we're over here on the Bookmine dashboard. All you really need to know is that what Victor Gallegos and myself were basically the founders of Bookmine. What we try to do is scout all of Amazon's 100 million plus books and then showcase the books that we think have the highest probability of being books that are undervalued, meaning below what they're normally selling for, so that you can have that opportunity to come buy them and then resell them on Amazon. And the analogy I use here is like, if you think of the book catalog on Amazon as the entire ocean, right? Just a massive, entity of books, or, massive amount of water. What we try to do is like bring you to the absolute best place to go fishing. We're like, we know there's a bunch of great fish here. In this case, we know there's a bunch of great books here because we use a lot of data to essentially try to figure out which of these books, have the, very similar trends of books that are undervalued. And so what you're going to see here when you're on the Bookmine dashboard is quite a bit of information, but let's first look at this used price here. This is going to be the all-in price of the book on Amazon. And again, if you're not following, the goal here, Avery, is to buy the book on Amazon with the intention to then send it to Amazon FBA and then resell it on Amazon for a higher price. And again, the reason why this works is because there's over 100 million books listed on Amazon at any one time. And a few thousands of those books at any given time are currently sitting on Amazon below what they normally sell for. So in this case, we have a book that you can buy for $17. John Stott, Birds, Our Teachers. So this is a book that doesn't even look, doesn't look like a college book, just looks like a very niche sort of book. And what we're really going to rely on here is keep a snapshot of the book. And so what you can see in our 1 year keep a snapshot is really the two most important pieces of information, which is the black line, which represents what the use price of this book has been, the lowest use price of this book has been over the last year. And then the sales rank, which is denoted by these green lines. Every time that sales rank drops, you should think of it as like a sell. It's kind of like, this is a book that has multiple heartbeats, is a book that is selling. And so we just use those two pieces of information. What is this book normally listed at and what is it selling for? And then what is the current price today? So you could kind of just use your cursor and hover over kind of what that used price has been. So, it's been in the low 20s, it's been up into the high 30s and the 40s, and then now it's down here at 17. And what you could do is, click on this Keepa link and do a little bit more analysis with Keepa. And what you would see is like, okay, well, this book generally is listed in the mid 20s to the low 30s. That's the lowest price, by the way, on Amazon, meaning the cheapest price you could buy this book for at pretty much any point in time over the last year is $25, $35. And of course, with Prime offers, Avery, there's people that are much higher than that as well. So you can see $17.09, that's the all-in buy cost, which we had there on Bookmine. And the goal is, well, what could we potentially sell this for? So again, we're only looking at the first book that showed up on Bookmine, but the idea here is like, okay, if this is a book that, let's say, we think we can sell for $39.99, then you're looking at a $7.50 profit, 43% ROI. And that's with not even ever touching this book, Avery. And what I mean by that is, when I purchase this book and when our users purchase this book, they don't actually send it to their house. There's really no reason to do that. What you can do is actually ship it to a third-party prep center like Little Owl or Central Virginia Prep, and they'll charge you $1.80, $2.25, depending on who you use, to essentially open the box for you, like inspect the book, make sure it's the right book, it's in the right condition, and then they'll ship it to Amazon for you. So they completely remove and automate that other part of Amazon, which is very difficult, which is having to always list everything. In any case, they ship it to the Amazon warehouse for you, it goes live, and then if we were to sell this book for $40, we would make $7.50 just by clicking buy now. I mean, that's pretty much how simple it is. And again, that's just the first book. I'm not necessarily saying that that's the most amazing ROI you can get, because there's definitely books you can get way higher ROI, way higher profit. But again, that's just the first book that showed up here. And what I want to bring your attention to over here on the far right hand side, Avery, is last price update. So essentially, what we're doing is looking at Amazon every hour, and every hour we're going to update new books that have dropped in price. These are books, again, that we think are very likely to be profitable based upon a variety of factors. You've already seen one of those being, well, if the current price is lower than what the book's used price over time used to be, then that's one of the key indicators that the book potentially could be undervalued. Now, we also are very smart in the way that we think about supply as well. So, just a very basic lesson: supply and demand, Avery. Obviously, when there's tons and tons of supply, usually the price of a book is going to be much lower. On the other hand, though, when the supply is very low, when there are not very many people selling the book, that's when prices can tend to increase a little bit. And so you can actually see that right now we're looking at an offer count of 6 versus, back here in May, we're sitting at 18 to 20. So in other words, significantly fewer offers on this listing now than there were in the past. And so the idea there being, okay, well, if you have a book that's in really short supply and also it's undervalued, those are really positive indicators that the book potentially could do quite well. So we've also at this point are going to show you about 3,000 books from the 100 million that we pulled. And again, while we can get more complicated and go into a bunch of the filters here, I'm just going to make it really easy and kind of just scroll down. Now, later on in this video, or I think if you sign up later on for Bookmine, Avery, I think you're going to give away something with your
Yeah,
favorite
so
Bookmine.
not only you'll get a 30-day trial instead of
You
14,
get 20-day trial instead of a 10-day trial. Yep.
20-day trial instead of a 10. And then I'll also give you guys the favorite triggers that I use too. So the triggers at the top you can set, and I'll send those over to you as well.
Yep. Absolutely.
Just
So,
make sure to email us at support@gotolister.com. Bookmine. Just title the email Bookmine. My team will know what to do, and we'll send you that template.
yeah, and then make sure when you sign up for Bookmine, you use Avery's link down below, so that,
Yeah,
that way you
we're
get
gonna
an
be checking
extra
it,
30 days.
guys. We're gonna
Yeah.
make sure you get that 20-day trial.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely will help. So, just a couple more down, you can see you have the all-in price here, 1332. One new thing I want to bring your attention to is what's called BM score, which stands for Bookmine score. The closer that value gets to 10, the more we have all these little factors or all these little patterns and trends coming together to bring us a book that we think is extremely likely to be a profitable book. It's a book that is something you would consider purchasing. So the lowest Bookmine score we will ever show to you is a 4, and that's because the majority of books have a Bookmine score under 4, and so there's no reason for us to show them to you. In this case, this book is showing up because its price is good relative to recent sales. So if you actually look at today's price of $13, you can see plenty of sales rank drops when this book was listed anywhere from the 30s up into $40 or $50. So this book was selling for 30 to 40 to $50 in the 6 months prior, and now it's at 13. So we would say that's a good price. It's currently on Amazon less than what it was selling for just up to 6 months ago. And so what we can do is just again look at the Keepa graph here to do a little bit more of a little bit a deeper dive. And again, all we can do is use our cursor here and go over that black line, which again represents the cheapest price this book was listed on Amazon at that point in time. So I mean, this book was at times selling up to $40 or $50 and even more than that when this book was out of stock. And what's really interesting is this book, Avery, has some seasonality to it. You can actually see in November and December how this offer count just took a massive dive, went from 36 down to essentially 0 by the time it was Christmas. So we're potentially looking at a book that also has seasonality for Christmas. And this is the Mystery Science Theater. So potentially, like, let's say a Christmas gift for maybe, a son or a daughter or something like that. But this book is sitting right around $13 shipped. And this is a book that, again, you could zoom in and see, I mean, plenty of sales rank drops well above that. You can even look at these buy box use price, this little pink diamonds, and you can actually see there are people like, for example, the Best Books 33. That's the name of the Amazon seller. He was listed at $48.85, and he went out of stock here on June 16th. So why did he go out of stock? More than likely because he sold a book. And so again, what you could do is you could go to Amazon, and if you have an FBA calculator, let's say you're using SellerAmp or you have a Chrome extension that's free, you can actually just plug in those numbers over here, on the left. So this is SellerAmp here, which is a different software, but we could put in our buy cost of $13.32. And so what we could do is play around with the different price ranges. So like I said, we looked at this. This is another seller that went out of stock at 45. We can put $45 in as the prime offer. So if you were to have purchased this book and sold it for that, you'd be making $15 profit. I mean, there again, if you were to really get granular and zoom into some other sales ring drops, you can actually see that there have been sales ring drops even as high as $68, as high as
Mhm.
57, and that's when it gets really just bonkers. I mean, you're talking about $35 potential profit on a $13 purchase, which is quite incredible. So a really good book there. Again, that's just the third one down, and I can go on and on and on, right? We can just keep scrolling and scrolling, but the goal here is to find books that are truly undervalued below the market value. So what we're not trying to do, Avery, is we're not trying to like exploit the prime gap. We're not trying to buy books that are worthless and just buy them because for whatever reason the prime offer is really high. What we're trying to do is actually see a book like this that is generally at its cheapest price, $30, $40. Like that's what you would have to pay to buy it. And then try to find those books when they just so happen to become
Mhm.
undervalued. And
And
in
a lot of
that way,
times when
you're
you do that,
actually,
you purchase the book and that brings up the market value. Let's say there's
yeah,
a $5, $10 book, you pick
yep,
off the lowest price. And let's say the next lowest price is $30. Now you just brought the market value instantly up to 30.
yep,
And I know you do that a lot. You pick up books that just had a freakish drop in price overnight.
right,
Maybe there was like a mega company with a repricer went crazy. You pick up that book, bring it back up to market value. And that's, in my opinion, the safest way to do this. But you're the
yeah.
expert here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also books that are very seasonal, and what you could do, for example, is look at Journey to the Cross. So I'm not sure how many people who are booksellers pay attention to the potential seasonality of books. And what I mean by that is, when you scan a book with Scout IQ, most people are just going so fast, they'll just they won't even take a moment to look at, well, what is the genre of the book. For example, if you were to scan this book, Journey to the Cross, you could probably tell it's a religious book, but you in the back of your mind might not think, oh, maybe this book, even though let's say Scout IQ says to reject it now, you might not think to yourself, oh, well, is there potential that this book could do well at a certain date? Is there a specific season when it pops off? And so, for example, here's a book that Bookmine is showing you. It's a seasonal book that generally is listed right around $3 to $4 the whole year, except for when we get into February, March, and April, when this book gets up into the 25, 30 plus, and even actually goes out of stock. I mean, think about how crazy that is, Avery. August, September, October, November, December, you could have bought this book for essentially under $7. And then by the time we get to when this book is really in demand, there's nobody in stock.
Yeah.
How insane is that? There's like literally everyone
Yep.
sold out. The last recorded price was $43. And then you go 2 to 3 weeks, the best, absolute best time to be selling this book, and nobody's in stock. So,
Yeah.
if you were to expand the keeper graph, you can see how every single year this book does the same exact thing every single year. And you can see how the offer count does the same thing every single year. And so again, what Bookmine is going to do for you is show you these seasonal books that all those other scanning softwares are going to completely ignore. Because if you, for example, were to scan this book right now, it would say that the lowest price is $5, and based upon your triggers, it's likely it would say just reject. So one of the pros of Bookmine again is that it will show you these seasonal books. And again, the point is online book arbitrage. The point is not for you to go out and scan and try to find books like this. The point is that you can sit at your desk and at whatever time you want buy any of the many thousands of books that are undervalued and then resell them on Amazon for a profit. Up until recently, I was a high school teacher. I actually quit my job because my wife and I reached financial independence, and
Heck yeah.
now I do this for fun. But I was
Freedom by books, baby.
absolutely over the last,
Inspiring the community out here.
over the last 3, 4, 5 years, I was just buying books 10:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. at night. And a lot of people ask me, was that the secret to your success? Was it that you were up at insane hours? And really, the answer is no, because my wife and I were just in Italy and Switzerland. We just got back from a 2-week vacation, which is awesome. And I was sourcing in Italy and Switzerland at the same time, 10:30 p.m. to midnight, and it actually happens to be like at noon to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I was finding great books. So there's just really not a ton of people doing online book arbitrage. There's a ton of people doing online arbitrage, like traditional online arbitrage, where you buy Nike socks from the Nike store. But in this case, online book arbitrage, Amazon is an amazing storefront, 100 million products, a
Yeah.
bunch of
And
books that you
10%
can.
of all Amazon sales are book sales. So there's an
Yeah, it's
incredible amount
crazy.
of demand. There's an unfulfillable amount of demand. It's
Yeah,
just a matter of getting it down to the point where you're making good buys consistently. And one of the things I really
right.
like that you and Victor, teach your students is buy 10 books a day.
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's going to build that habit over time. And
Yep.
you know, what's the math on 100,000? You'd be making like 8,000 a month in
Yep.
profit, something like
Right.
that. My math is off.
Yeah, it was. So I'll tell you what, I was doing this full time over the last 3, 4 years, and got to the point where my teaching salary, I didn't need it anymore. I was just literally investing every penny that I made. And that's because the money I was making from just flipping books was more than enough to cover our living expenses. And that was one of the reasons why I also decided to, stop teaching, is because I'm like, I don't even need my teaching income anymore. Like, why am I spending so much of the day going to go teach when I can spend it home with my son and my wife? And so now I actually, ironically, don't really spend more time on the Amazon business. I actually just spend a lot more time with them, hang out and have a good time. And I kind of still just buy books at the same time, 10:30
Yeah.
p.m. to midnight, and that's when I do YouTube and work on Bookmine with Victor. But um, the point of this video is just to show you that there are tons of books right now on Amazon that you can find that are undervalued. Generally, it would be quite a bit of work to try to find these books using Keepa. And so what Victor and I want to do is simplify it to make it easier for just the everyday person. Because what
Yeah.
we found is when we're, especially when I teach people how to use Keepa, a lot of people, their eyes glaze over because it is pretty technical. Like, it does take some skill. It takes tons of expertise and practice. But, if someone's bringing you to the best place to fish, it's really not that hard to catch fish, if that makes
Exactly,
sense.
yeah.
So
And you
that's,
know,
yeah.
if a thrift store told me, "Hey, we have a monthly membership," which
Yeah.
essentially is what book you guys charge, and it's not
Right.
cheap, not a cheap software because it does what it says it's going to do. But if the thrift store said, "Hey, we have really good books, but we want you to pay a monthly subscription,"
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Hey, and if the thrift store gave me a free trial to go in for 20 days,
20 days.
I get to go in the thrift store for 20 days and see, oh, I just made a grand profit. Am I going to pay $100 to go to this thrift store each month? Yeah, that's a good investment for me. So I look at it as like you're investing in a tool that's just going to allow you to get directly to those
Yeah.
profitable books.
Absolutely. Here's another
Yeah.
book that we just found scrolling down. I mean, what I love about this is we give you the actual snapshot of the book image, and a lot of these books you look at, if you were at a thrift store and you're looking at it, I don't know, you may or may not think this book is worth something, but you could clearly tell on Bookmine that this is a book that generally is listed right around between $40 to $50 as its lowest used price over the entire year. Again, with sales rank drops, meaning that the book is becoming more popular. It is actually selling. And when you go to the Keeper graph, you can actually see, yeah, since 2022, this book has generally been listed in the 40s and the 50s. And you can actually see right now it's sitting at about $13.40. I mean, you could use Keepa to look at what the lowest use price this book has been over its entire history. And generally what you're finding is that this book very, very, very rarely ever gets this cheap on Amazon. And that is an opportunity for someone like us to come in, buy 1 or 2 or 3 copies, and then sell it for $45 to $50. So right now, Bookmine is $17.39. I would be aiming to sell this book for $17.37 here. I'd be aiming to sell this book for probably $49.99. We're looking at 84% ROI, $14 profit. Again, all I would do is click buy, add to cart, like check out, buy it now. It gets shipped to my prep center. My prep center ships it to Amazon, and it then goes live for sale on Amazon. All I got to do is price it. And so in this case, I'd price it for $49.99, which is what this book can sell for pretty easily based upon just looking at its Keepa graph. And it's, I don't want to say it's that simple. But because it does take time for you to understand how to read a Keepa graph. It does take some experience to go, okay, this works and this doesn't. But we are literally trying to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Victor and I also always say, like, we can't buy the book for you. We can get pretty close to it, but you still got to do the last like 20% where you're just gonna confirm that, okay, this is a good buy. But
100%. You've cracked the code on what, on average you're buying books that are really good
Right.
purchasing decisions. Like, you've mastered the data side of it. So anyone that wants to learn how to do this, we're actually putting on a free training this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Joji's going to come on and share exactly how he does this. It's more in-depth training than this. So if you guys want to learn, I think this is a great opportunity for my audience because a lot of you guys already sell books. Maybe if you're brand new, this is good for you too. But if you already are comfortable with books, like, this is 100% a good stepping stone to never leaving your house and essentially running your Amazon business from home, which I feel like is all of our dreams, is to like not leave home and run your Amazon business. So
great. Yeah. So that's going to be Wednesday, July 24th.
Yeah.
That's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. PST. And yeah, we're gonna go over how to find some great books, and it should be a lot of fun. So we hope you can show up for that.
Heck yeah. So that link to register is below. Also, go give Joji a follow on YouTube. Much love, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome, man. Easy.
Sweet. If you guys want to learn more about flipping books on Amazon, we're actually doing a live training this Wednesday, the 24th of July, with Joji Davenport, who did 100,000 profit last year flipping books on Amazon. So what he does is he purchases books that are, for whatever reason, they're too low. There's a myriad of reasons, which we'll go over in the free training. But he purchases them for an average of $16 and sells them, I think, for like $50 plus. He did 100,000 profit last year, over 250,000 in sales. He was a high school teacher. He actually just quit his job. He's made a lot of money flipping books on Amazon, and he's going to break down step by step how you can achieve the same. And you know, in this video we did a very basic high level overview, but if you want an in-depth training, consider coming to this free training. Click the link below and sign up, and we will see you there. It's going down Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Much love. Peace.